Hi and welcome to Conscious Nuggets. My name is Maria and I created this channel, a channel dedicated to becoming more conscious. Now this I did not intend to be the first video, but it has to be right now. I want to talk to you about the Kavanaugh hearing, okay? The whole thing is really quite complex and multi-layered. So if you look at it on a basic level, you've got the personal level, two people and their personal destiny. Brett Kavanaugh and Dr. Christine Ford, who accuses Brett Kavanaugh of having sexually assaulted her over 30 years ago. Then there's the layer that is about politics and who's going to be the next Supreme Court Justice of the most powerful nation of the world, the United States of America. And that will affect every single American. And then there is another layer. This whole thing sits in a wider context of power and gender dynamics and is about how we view and treat sexual assault allegations and the repercussions of that on all of us. Okay, now let's go straight in. There was a huge contrast, I'm not sure it could have been bigger, between, on the one hand, a very angry and belligerent Brett Kavanaugh who lost it a few times, and on the other hand, a remarkably composed and calm Dr. Christine Ford. And by the way, did anyone else think that Brett was going for a Trump impression? I thought the resemblance was really quite remarkable. Now, put aside the question of whether you think he's guilty or not. Who in their right mind could think that what we've seen during the hearing is the kind of person that would be fit for the post of Supreme Court Justice? I mean, Brett Kavanaugh has disrespected senators by violently interrupting them, challenging them back in the most entitled way. He evaded a lot of questions, very obviously, because he apparently found himself in a pickle. And I mean, any body language expert will tell you that that man lacks integrity. I want to also talk about a double standard that's going on here. Brett Kavanaugh chose to present himself in a very angry way. We saw a lot of fury and emotions, him sobbing. Now, if a woman had done that during the hearing, the Republicans would have been the first to jump at her and label her as hysterical and a drama queen creating drama, right? But when a man does that, he's labeled as the hero pushing through, and he's allowed to express his anger. Actually, on the note of hysteria, I find it really interesting, almost funny, how some men out there are almost hysterical. And, they're so worried that they might end up in jail. They're fearing for their existence and life just because we're moving from being in a time in which women have been conditioned to silently endure sexual assault into a time in which it is starting to be okay to speak the truth. As if that very fact would turn them overnight into sexual perpetrators against their will. We believe her, the slogan, is not intended as in we ought to take every single woman's word for granted and use it as the sole basis for putting men behind bars for life. No. It is used in a context in which it has been the status quo to instantly mistrust and dismiss credible allegations of sexual assault. And it's used to back such allegations so they are considered and looked into properly. It is used to empower other victims to feel that they can come forward. This is not the war of crazed women against innocent men that some people want to make it out as. This is about shifting the tide in favor of not women, but in favor of all victims and justice, so that actual victims feel that they have the right and space to speak out and be listened to rather than instantly judged and shamed, which is the current norm in our society and has been for too long. The people who falsely accuse Me Too of going too far and envisaging a world in which men are to instantly be judged and shamed as the perpetrators as soon as a woman speaks out about sexual assault or abuse are the same people who on their end do that very same thing that they criticize, when they instantly judge and shame those speaking out, when they advocate that not believing should be the default position. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We can't take that too seriously. We don't know what happened. If we were to believe every single woman who said something like that, a man's career is on the line. We can't hold his promotion just because of what she said. These are the sort of things that reinforce not believing as the default position, and that shut down any victim's chance to a fair hearing, as well as the chance for the truth to be exposed. Now, I think that the use of silence is a really interesting thing in this context. Instead of shutting such allegations down, if we are so sure that they're false and the person making them is lying, how about demanding and pushing for an investigation so that they are exposed and can be punished for lying? But hey, that's just a crazy thought by a woman. Now here's a noteworthy statistic. Only 2% of all rape cases and sex-related charges in the US are determined to be false. On the other side, we've got 60% of rape cases that go unreported. So that means that much more often than not, in fact almost every single time, an accusation of that sort can be believed because it's true. But what happens in our society is the odds of being believed for the victim are here, and the odds of being believed for the alleged perpetrator are here. Now, how come that on top of that, we tend to shame the accusing party and defend the alleged perpetrator when we weren't even there and don't know what actually happened? What's going on there is called patriarchy and, well, especially white male privilege. And Me Too is about dismantling that and leveling that out. Now, coming back to Kavanaugh, no one's saying that he should not get the post purely based on these allegations. I think the hearing provides more than enough reasons. I mean, he himself did so. But what we are saying is that allegations of such nature need to be taken seriously and looked into properly, investigated, and due process followed, especially when at the center of such allegations is a person that is about to hold a very powerful post. All that's being asked for is that we delay the process until an informed decision can be made. Thanks to Flake, the Republican senator who swung the vote, there will be an FBI investigation now, albeit with a time limit on it. We shall see what that will bring about. In terms of the first and the second level I talked about at the beginning, so for Brett and Christine respectively, as well as for the Supreme Court, we will see who will end up being the judge. And on the third level, well, I hope that this whole thing is right now sparking the right sort of conversations all over the world, and that we will feel compelled, compelled to creating a better, a more just future for everyone. I want to finish this video by commending Dr. Christine Ford for her bravery, because I believe her. I think her and her story are credible, and certainly credible enough to warrant an investigation. I also want to commend everyone else who's been speaking out about what's happened to them, informing the world about what needs to be known, despite the difficulty that goes with it. But I also want to speak to those of you out there who are still living in silence. There's no pressure on you. It's not your job to speak out. As my counselor used to say, You've been busy surviving. And that's okay. It's not part of everyone's healing journey to share that they've been sexually assaulted with the whole wide world. Okay? But if someone finds the strength to speak out, we need to listen. And on that note, thank you very much for listening to me today. If what I said resonated with you, please like the video, comment on it, share it, and subscribe to Conscious Nuggets. I'll see you next time here at Conscious Nuggets.